Hey there, listeners. Today we're back with another episode of A Sex Talk with me, Taffy. In today's episode, we talk with a good friend of mine, Sparrow. She is a local musician and a member of the Northwest Arkansas Center for Sexual Assault. And with that, I'm going to include a trigger warning, just in case. We don't really go into any heavy topics, but, with that being said, I mean, you never know. Trigger warning here. It is a pretty lengthy episode today, and we do cover a lot about what her center does towards the end of the episode. So if you're interested in listening to that, please stick around to the end of the episode. And other than that, enjoy. We plug her band and all that stuff in at the end, so go check her out after listening to this and enjoy. Thank you. Alrighty, we are back with another episode of A Sex Talk. It is me, Taffy, the person I hope you're tuning in to listen to this for. But besides that, today I have with me someone I've known for 4 years now?
Right,
4 years now, but just recently really started getting to know. Great fucking person. Works some pretty important stuff and a great musician. And without further ado, I'm gonna let them go ahead and introduce themselves.
Yeah, so I am Sparrow, and I work for NWA Center for Sexual Assault. I am the LGBTQ victim services advocate. So
shocker.
Right, yeah. Big fucking shock for everybody. That so I'm like the official office gay, and
she's the token.
Literally, so that's kind of the funny thing about the way that our office works too, is that we have multiple projects. So mine, of course, is the Rainbow Project, and then Project Arch. And then we have Let's Talk, which is our, they deal not only with sexual assault, but also domestic violence in the African American community. And then we have Estamos Contigo, and that's our community outreach project for the Latinx community.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've got ironically the token person for each population.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what you need.
Yeah, but I mean, we do it on purpose, so that, when we have clients come in, that not only does that allow us to do outreach with the populations that
you're trying to get outreach towards.
Exactly. And then, when we do have clients come in that need a forensic exam, they're still getting, someone coming through the door alongside them that, they can relate to. And
it's not just some, old white woman leading you through a hall.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
And, because, I mean, we've worked with all of the hospitals in the area, so I mean they already know if somebody calls that they just call us directly, so that we'll handle it from there. Very few of the hospitals will actually just go ahead and do them there. They'll typically call us first to see if it's going to be a situation where they would have to, if we already were in the process of doing one, if that client would have to wait, and then it would be easier for them to do. But yeah, I mean, typically we'll go to the hospital and have them done if they can't, for whatever, if the injuries were too great at that point for them to leave, then we'll go. Or if it's a situation where there's going to be a psych hold, then we would go.
Or a domestic violence type situation.
But if it's if it's a situation where somebody does have the capacity to come to us, then it's a entirely private experience, because we have the clinic there that has all of the things that we need as far as medically to provide the service itself. So it's kind of nice because you don't have that extra noise that comes along with being on a hospital.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I know there was countless times that regional has done their like expansions or whatever, and I was there for a migraine, and they've got like a jackhammer in the back. I'm like, so like then you imagine.
So you're just trying to kill me.
Yeah, like so you can imagine like coming from a situation that's already like incredibly traumatic and being forced into an entirely different but similar situation that is also traumatic, of having the actual exam done, like having that privacy is like huge. So yeah.
So I'm gonna take a pause on this conversation just because I want to. This is a very important topic and I want to get to it, but I'm gonna save it for a little bit later, just because I don't want to. I don't want to like start it off just hard and heavy in the podcast. Yeah. But before that, let's do a little bit. I wanted to get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're the token gay person of your clinic.
I am the token gay. Yes.
So if you're cool with it, describe your sexuality a little bit for our listeners.
So we were talking about this with like my intern, that it's kind of interesting when you think about it, because I've always like self-identified as a lesbian, just cause,
and like I've known you for 4 years, but there's never been a moment in my life where I would have walked up to you and been like, I think she might be straight.
Yeah, no, I tried. I tried.
It's like, yeah, no, she looks like she swings one direction, and it's the same way.
Definitely, it is 100% one direction. And so we were talking about it because, so this is the first time that I've, like, since I started working there, that I've had an intern that was actually, like, part of the community. Yeah. So, and with them, like, they have they identify as two-spirit, and so we were talking, and Tyler was talking about how, like, oh, yeah, I've never felt a specific gender. And I was like, honestly, if I'm being 100% honest, I was like, I can't say that I have ever either. And so, like, we were talking about it, I was like, so it's kind of funny that I would identify as a lesbian, but I've never been, like, so specific, like, as far as my gender. I've just never cared. Yeah, I guess. Like,
see, I mean, like, for me, I guess, I mean, that's a really interesting topic, because I, one, haven't talked about it on the podcast yet, but two, it's always fun to talk about for me, because, like, no one ever asked the straight dude, hey, have you ever thought about your gender? How do you feel? And I'm like, because I've actually thought about it, one, because I do a lot of drugs and have a lot of time to think about it. Yeah. But, like, outside of that, I've thought about it, and, like, I very much am a dude. 100%. There's nothing about that that's different for me. Like, but with that, like, hella effeminate. I have so much estrogen flowing through these bones that I don't like it. Yeah. But I also have a shit ton of testosterone too. So it's like a really weird mixture of both. But, like, I'm a very effeminate person. More so than I am like a I'm definitely not hyper masculine. Yeah. I'm a fucking twink I'm a twink of a straight dude. It's weird.
Like, that's really where I've always been. It was like, I've never really cared, like, as far as, like, what I'm wearing or whatever to, like, quote, express any particular gender.
So then the other weird thing for it for me is, like, because I've thought about it long and hard ever since I was, like, 13. Like, oh, that's so cool. I didn't know I could do that from here. Oh, wow. That's fucking dope. Sorry, guys. I just learned new shit about my watch that I paid a lot of money for. That's cool.
I mean, it makes sense that it would do that. That's fucking great. Yeah.
But, so back to what I was saying. Like, I've thought about it since I was, like, 17. And, like, I 100% wish I would have been born a woman. Would love to be, like, I know y'all have to deal with so much different shit, but that's something I want to experience. I would love to have I know I wouldn't say that if I had one, but I would love to have a period. Yeah. I'd love to have to, like, that just feels like what I would rather be. But at no point in my life have I ever wanted to take steps to change that. I've never been trans or anything. I'm just like, hey, if I could do this over again, I'd really like to roll the woman category, please.
I mean, if I were to make a selection, like, it wouldn't even be human. I would want to become a domesticated cat. Like, if that's an option.
Well, yeah, you're a step ahead of me. I'm trying to get to the woman that finds out that she wants to be the domesticated cat.
Right. No, I 100%. I'm like, if I could make a decision as to, like, in the next life, if that's how this like goes, I'm like, sign me up for domesticated cat that lives in a household of lesbians.
I just want to be a bitch that can use her goods to show off and make money and do very little. Because I know I could if I had the goods. I cannot, right? I mean, I can, but like, I'm just not trying to throw it for old gay men.
Yeah.
Because like, I will, but they're not gonna get legitimately like anything legitimate out of it.
Yeah.
But like, if I found some older white ladies that wanted it, they can get whatever the fuck they
like,
want out of me. This is fun. You are on a walker. This is fun. Oh shit, she broke her hip. Woo.
10 points.
But so, like, with your sexuality, is that something? Because you're also in a band, and do you want to talk about that for a quick second?
Yeah. So as far as like how that all came to be, I've always like.
Because I also know all of the people in your band pretty well. I've known them for almost longer than I've known you.
Yeah, like honestly.
But in completely separate entities.
Yeah, like not related to that at all. Just like from literally working together at different places. But yeah, so like the way that all really came to be is, I mean, I've always been interested in music. I've been performing my whole life. I was signed to like a tiny ass little label here when I was in high school for.
But that was great.
Country music of all things.
I can hear it, you know.
Well, and that's what's funny too, is because that was like when Taylor Swift had dropped her first album. So like these guys, that was their whole goal, is like, oh, we're just gonna like turn you into the next T Swift. I'm like, but I don't even really want to write country. And like, I was way more invested in like what
she was
Haley
still
Williams
being just like, hey, I'm just from Arkansas. That doesn't have anything to do with my music. I'm sorry.
I was like, at the time, I was like, I'm still like obsessed with Lacey Sturm from Flyleaf and like Haley Williams, Paramore. Like, I've always been a fan of Joan Jett, and like, I should have known, like, quite honestly, like, earlier that.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Raging Mo, right?
But I think about it now, and like all the shit that I loved growing up, I'm like, yeah, this doesn't make any difference. I fucking love Dolly Parton. I fucking love like a lot of like 70s like disco music. So I'm just like, I don't know how anyone thought this isn't what I was going to grow up to be.
The signs were there for me. It's just no one clued me in. It was like, I thought I was just playing softball because I liked softball.
Now, as soon as I hit college, shit popped and I knew exactly. But like all in high school, never would have guessed. I was just a tall, lanky dude who was weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now I'm fucking queer and a fucking force to be reckoned with. So, what's the name of your band?
So we are Endfall, all one short, obnoxious name. Like, whenever I tell people, like, oh, what's your band name? Endfall, like, people kind of, like, are taken aback, like, what does that mean? I'm like, I didn't come up with it. We just liked it and thought it was cool. Like, if you
That's the most important part of a band.
Literally, I was like, if you were to come across that name, like, we were like, oh, that sounds like
cool.
It would be cool and like could be used in a professional band kind of setting, so we went with that. But like we all like had this giant ass list of names that we were just going back and forth from.
And with that, like, it's nice for me because my name's Taffy. That's who I am. If I were to ever become a music person or a performing artist, like, I have so many things that I could go off of, or I can just be Taffy and it's already the weirdest thing. I don't need to do anything. Like, if I started a band, like, say I started a 70s disco funk band, it's Taffy and the Pullers.
Exactly.
That's already there.
It has to. I'm like, doesn't matter what you're producing, it has to be under the name Taffy.
Yeah.
Because, like, for one, that's what everyone knows anyway. But
because, like my dream goal is to be like 40, 45 and open up a male strip club in Northwest Arkansas just called Taffy's.
I think it would sell.
It would work so well.
Like,
you go to the Pullman room, you know?
Exactly.
I also really want to, you know how there's the Cowgirls espresso? I want to do Cowboys espresso so badly. I don't know why. I would be working there so quick, but they don't want it. And I'm like, I know so many older ladies that would love this. I know a lot of gay men that would pay for it.
Oh, 100%.
Come on now.
you gotta,
You put me in
You might
this.
find more success with it in like the Bentonville area with all of the Bentonville bougie gays.
Yeah.
So like, then they don't feel bad if you make them pay like $11 for a coffee while you're basically naked in a box.
That's
like,
the thing, is I will get as close to naked as legally possible if I could do it for some money.
Well, it's easier for you as long as you have like your dick covered, like done.
Well, so the fun thing is in the state of Arkansas, indecent exposure is you have to have your genitals fully covered and you have to have a 1-inch cap covering your asshole. That's it.
You got this.
And then girls have to have their nipples covered, not their boob, their nipples.
Yeah.
Because that's a problem
Nipples
for some
are
stupid
scary.
fucking reason.
They're terrifying.
Oh
obviously.
no, they're so scary. Put them in my mouth and it's hot.
Like I've never understood that either because like there's all of these other states that have it so that it's like not a big deal. If
We're
you're
slowly working on it, but there's I mean it's such a small fish in the pond of what we really need to fix around here that it's not there's not a lot that can go about it.
Yeah.
But so back with band, like has your sexuality like played a part in it at all, or
if anything, initially when I was trying to like get in the local band scene, it was definitely something that was more like would inhibit, because I'm not somebody that goes around and has this like huge ass ego like, oh, I'm the greatest person, I'm the best singer in the world. Like, no, there's a million fucking people that are way
she's
better.
very much the type of
like,
person that if you were at the bar with her, you'd be talking to her and then she disappears to go to the bathroom and next thing she's on stage and you're like
entirely
well,
confused.
shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like that's
why
that's why I adopted this stage name to begin with, just because I'm like, when people meet Holly, like they don't.
I could not call you that.
No, it was
weird.
like none. There's nothing that is like metal about the name Holly. And like with Haley Williams being huge, I'm like, my name is Holly Roble. I have the same fucking initials. I already have to deal with people.
Something different.
Yeah, I'm like, people all the time are like, do Paramore covers, and we didn't want to for the longest time because we already knew we were going to get like
that a lot.
Yeah, and like when you're a female in a fronted band of any sort, they're like, oh, you sound just like Paramore. I'm like, how? Like, I don't look anything like her. I'm like, she's taller than me. She has a better body than I will probably ever have. Like, no, I'm nothing like her. And so I was like, I'm not doing that here. And so now it's funny because like literally no one like associates me like with that name now. So,
yeah, it's like if people,
like,
I fucking
perfect.
hate when people dead name me at this point because I am actively working on changing my name, but there's a lot of paperwork that I'm trying to figure out.
Oh yeah.
But it's just like, y'all very obviously know that I am Taffy. I'm not trying to hide it. Why the fuck are you using? And they think it's like a fun little game, but it actively pisses me off if I hear someone use my name like towards me. Because like, what'll happen a lot of times is someone's like, so like, is that your actual name? And I'm like, of course not.
Right.
Who the fuck names their? I know one person legally named Taffy, but I'm like, who the fuck names their kid that? But then
someone I want to hang out with.
Then their next exactly. Their next question is, so what's your real name? And I'm like, that's not important. I don't use it.
It's none of your damn business. Is what it is.
But then they're like, okay, and then they go ask my friends that are sitting next to me, and then most of the time they're like, I don't actually know.
Yeah, literally.
But a lot of times,
I mean, I told you that's where literally all of us were in the band. Like, George's wanted your legal name, and I'm literally there writing Taffy, and they're like, do you have a last name for it? I'm like, his name is Taffy. Like, does he need a last one? Like, they're like, well, is that his legal name? I'm like, I don't fucking know. I'm gonna venture probably not. Like,
but so then like, with it, the next step of action is always like they'll ask people like, so what's your name? And then I'll have one friend that'll like always just leans over and like whispers. I'm like, dude, come on.
Yeah.
Really? There's no fucking point in that. And now someone else knows. I'm like, I get it. It's a cool little game, but fuck you. If you use that name, I will not answer to it. If you consistently call me that, I will get pissed.
Yeah.
That's one of the quickest ways to piss me off. Like, it's like fucking, I mean, in all honesty, it's like fucking dead naming a trans person.
Yeah.
Like, you don't fucking do it.
Well, and I don't know why people are, like, so obsessed with the idea of,
well,
like,
here's the...
well, I need to know your real name anyway. I'm like, if I tell, like, in any other, like...
Well, here's the shameless plug for it.
Like,
your name, and this is to the audience, your name is whatever the fuck you want it to be.
Damn
You
right.
can change it at any point and if you want to legally change it, it's also pretty quick, just a little expensive, but it's pretty quick. You can be whoever the fuck you want to be. You don't have to be trans. You don't have to be non-binary. You don't have to be something else. If you're a straight white dude from Milwaukee, Ohio, that's not a place. Maybe it is. I don't fucking know.
I've never been.
If you're one of them, you can go by whatever the fuck you want to go by.
Yeah.
Just make people call you by it, because just don't let them be a dick about it. So that's the shameless plug for that.
Yeah.
Back to our combo.
But like when you think about it, like whenever you get married, like, and
you
like
can
if a
immediately
woman
change it.
yeah, like if she changes her last name to whatever dude,
or in the weird circumstance that a dude does it.
Yeah, like you don't call them like, oh, I knew you when you were like James Smith, but now like the name is like
they have
James
no problem.
else.
Yeah,
they have
like,
no issue calling you by the new name. So I'm like, I don't understand why there's this like inherent need with people to be like, oh, well, what's your real name? I'm like, that's why I think it's like.
No one asked Lady Gaga what her real name is.
Do I know it? Yes,
yeah.
But I'm not, for one, best
I know
friends
it, but
with her. Like,
I was like, I know it, but I don't remember it off the top of my head. I know the last name's cool as fuck.
Stephanie, Joanne, Angelina, Germanata.
Okay,
like,
I knew the Germanata
like,
part.
You're talking to like the like biggest fucking Lady Gaga.
Well, because I knew the Stephanie and the Germanata part, but I didn't remember anything else.
S-Jag, that's all you gotta know.
I hate it.
S-Jag.
But like, no one's gonna ask that. No one's gonna ask fucking
If
Tyler
she
the
was
Creator what
walking-
his real name is.
if
It's
she's
obviously
walking
Tyler.
down the road, you're gonna see, oh shit, that's Lady Gaga. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be like, yo, Steph.
Also,
like,
the crazy thing is Lady Gaga is your height.
yeah, she's actually taller than me.
A little bit.
5'3".
Just
She's
barely.
6 inches taller than me.
Wait, how tall are you?
I'm 4'9" and 3/4. Literally, like if you get.
I didn't realize you were
measuring
that
tape-
short. Oh my
yeah.
god.
It's like sad.
You are the definition of not a midget.
Yeah. I'm right there.
It's always so weird because like I'm a 6 foot tall dude, so I'm just like a whole body and a bit taller than you. I'm like, this feels so weird, but it's so fun.
Yeah.
Because it's also really interesting because you command such a presence with yourself too. Like you're a very short lady, but you're not someone that's
Well, it's
gonna
different
like get
when I'm on
stepped on.
stage though. Like I'm on stage, like I've got a mic and the attention is literally drawn
Well, yeah,
to
but I'm
me
also talking like
purposely,
at C4, like there's never a moment where I'm like, oh, this is a short girl because we'll be sitting next to each other. And I'm like, she's probably like 5'10", 5'12" or something like that.
No.
And then she gets up and it's just like barely taller than Dawn, and I'm like,
I think Dawn's actually taller
yeah,
than
she
me.
is. And I'm like, that's so weird.
Even when she doesn't have her gay hair. Like, seeing her
The
with
gay
like a
ant hair.
ponytail right now is like the equivalent of like seeing a dog walk on its hind legs for me. Like,
So and then, did you end up meeting your wife through music or?
so actually,
the gay scene.
I mean, in a way, you could blame it on music because so the way that I actually met her was like through my friend Kat, and she was like, dude, my best friend is coming in from Oklahoma for her birthday. Like, we've got all of these people. We're going to go out on Dixon. Like, you're my best friend and she's my best friend. So we're all just going to be like fucking best friends together. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll go, even though I've never met this chick in my life, right?
I wish people would do that for me.
I was like, I mean, I guess. And so then we're there, and I had actually like hit up another chick to like come and hang out with us. And so we ended up going to Infusion, and that girl ended up hitting on her. And like Candy was like kind of invested and like into it because she had actually asked me, she's like, hey, can I talk to that chick? I was like, dude, I have no idea. Like, I've only been here for
I've been around you for like 20
an
minutes.
hour. Like, I don't know who this is. Like, by all means, if you want to hit on her, like, go for it. I'm not trying to like do anything at this point.
Yeah.
I just came to like chill, whatever. And so she does.
My friend said she wanted to go get drunk, so I came to get drunk.
Exactly. And so she does. Well, we're at Infusion, so inevitably karaoke is happening. And so sure enough, I get up, do karaoke, and that basically sealed it. Like, Candy ended up...
We get it. You
yeah,
can sing.
like-
It opens up girls'
I was like,
legs. It's cool.
that is the one time that I'm like, I will be remotely confident. I'm like, am I going to hit on a girl? No, but if she sees me doing karaoke, like, a bitch might. Like...
Oh, that's
like,
great.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's actually like how we met is...
So how long have y'all been married?
We got married in 18. I had to think because it was, so my accident was 2017 New Year's Eve, so then it was 2018. So we've been together since then, and we dated. We started.
So I was gonna say I've only ever met her the one time at George's. I've never really seen her before.
Gotcha.
But.
Yeah, because like she and I have gone to C4 together like quite a few times, but honestly, I don't think it's like been a situation where like in the time that we were there, you were like even there because she wants to be downstairs. I don't dance.
But, if I'm downstairs, I'm usually in the crowd.
Yeah. Or on the pole.
Yeah. That pole is my spot, and so help me God, if Jamie does not name that the taffy pole, I'm upset.
I think he should.
It really should, because I'm there all the time. Mm-hmm. It's my pole.
Yep.
My pole. Sorry, my spot.
Yep.
I will kick you out.
It's like a full Sheldon, just like my spot.
I will kick you out if you're sitting on my pole. I'm like, hey, can you please move over? I'm about to do some gay shit.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Have seen it, can confirm. Like,
pretty fucking gay, bro.
Yeah, like we were either there or we would be upstairs so that like we could smoke.
Okay, so then back to your band. So you're in the metal. Metal is what you would classify your band as?
So initially we were kind of just like hard rock, but we've been moving, like the goal of what we put out with like our EP Sick Love was, that was just like the first music that we wrote together with the like full intention of getting heavier later.
Yeah.
And then we had multiple lineup changes, and now the lineup that we have, like everybody is full on interested in getting heavier. So we've actually moved to more of an alt metal classification just because we add all of that like extra production with Mike Bailey.
Well, because I was just gonna see, like, my main question with that is there like any, has it been weird with your sexuality or anything? 'Cause I know, well, like, I know the rest of your band's a little fruity too, but like they don't want to admit it, but they're a little fruity.
Like, no,
since I know
like,
them, but like,
honestly,
has it been weird?
Yeah, no, like that's what's so funny is
because like I know the metal group is super open and like accepting of a lot of people as long as you're not a dick or a fucking awful person.
Yeah.
But it's just like you never know, especially in Arkansas. So it's just like
I honestly like I said, like initially it was really hard to get into a band, and then when I auditioned for them, like they stopped doing auditions. Like what I didn't know is that at the time, like the guys that were in the band to start out with didn't really want a female singer, but I had like replied to the ad, and I came in, did the audition
shit, she's kind of good.
And that was kind of where they were at. Like everyone that had auditioned, I guess at that previous moment, like either wasn't super great or wasn't going to be a good fit.
Yeah.
And so then when I did what I did, they were like, oh, well, shit, now we have to go this route. Like,
like
I guess they felt like they literally had to initially.
Like, because I wish I had musical talent. Like, I'm a mediocre singer. I have, like, a very specific ranges that I'm good at. Mm-hmm. I'm trained in theater. I know how to do that. But, like, performing on a stage, I just feel like is where I'm supposed to be. Mm-hmm. But it's so hard because I'm not a music person.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to get into it. I'm trying to work on it. But, like, I just, as you know, like, where better would be for me than in front of a stage just fucking around for, like, 10,000 people.
Oh, yeah.
That's where I need to be.
That's a ticket I would pay for.
Yeah, like, it's such a great time, and I hold an audience really well, and I'm interesting to watch. It's just I need to get better at creating lyrics. Yeah. Because like my thing is I would love to be like the front man of a band, where like I could sing, like especially like a rap group. I could do a rap group really well, or like even just being the hype dude. Like let me get on with Little Dicky and be the hype dude. I will upstage him and I'll be pissed, but I will do a better job than Little Dicky because I've been to a Little Dicky concert. And whatever he did was not enough. It was a great
imagine what he would even look like live. Like I know I listened to the I've listened to his songs and stuff. I'm like, oh my god, these are fucking funny.
He's a like, curly-headed Jew boy from.
Yeah, I'm like I would never think to be like, oh hey, Little Dicky's in town.
Now it is different because he was performing for a college, so we had to tone it down a little bit. Because normally he'll bring a girl up on stage and do like a strip tease and get down in his underwear for, and I'm like, fuck yeah. But for this, he kind of had to like do it to a speaker, and I'm like, this is dumb.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, show us your Dicky. Show us your Little Dicky! And then well, I was yelling it so loud that he heard me, and he was like, I'm not gonna do that. But thank you. And I'm like, fucking show me your penis! And then he made eye contact with me, and I was like, that fucking Little Dicky! Oh, man.
Oh, that's so great.
You thought about it. I was like, Man, if you weren't out of college, I might have just seen I might have seen your penis, bro. It would have been great. But
yeah, like, really, it wasn't a thing, because that's what I make jokes with, like, anytime, like, people are, like, even, like, concerned about, like, making sex jokes and shit like that, I'm like, do you realize I'm in a band with 3 other dudes? If I could not hang, I would not be in a band with 3 other dudes. Like, trust me, when it comes to, like, being that much of a pervert, like, making just terrible jokes, I'm right there.
And that's that is one of the things that's kind of fucked me over is, like, for the last 5-6 years, I've been a stagehand. I'm in the back loading them up. I'm around those people and truckers. So that's my comedy. I'm dark humor and perverted humor, hardcore, but people don't realize it's a fucking joke.
Yeah, I have, like, no filter.
Yeah.
So, like,
I'm like, I will say whatever the fuck I can for a laugh, and it'll get pretty quickly. Don't even ask me about the Sandy Hook incident. Yeah, I have a whole shtick on that one.
I am very much as terrible as they are when it comes to shit like this.
But it's like, as soon as you get out of that, you realize how quickly people don't hang with that sort of shit. And I'm like, it's so weird to me, because I'm backstage with fucking... I mean, I called Brantley Gilbert a bitch on accident because he was walking by, wasn't wearing his hat, and he's like 5'7". He's a short man. Yeah. And he wasn't wearing his hat, and he just looked like one of the roadies. And I was like, damn, he kind of looks like a bitch. And the trucker was like, hey, that's the main guy. You better be careful.
You know Michael from the Amp, Michael Cook?
Yeah.
So he didn't even know who Halsey was, and he apparently sat down and had like a 30-minute conversation with her at, like, when she had come here. So he actually gave us.
Now I will tell you, that show, great show. Fucking sucked to set up. Her stage was the worst we've ever had.
Because then, like, there was the issue with the, like, stage.
Her stage was an entire stage. They were all steps. It was like a 3 to 4 story in height LED stage. Yeah, each panel, some of them were 500 pounds.
Firing with the light.
400. It was like 500 pounds. Like 4 people lift minimum for each of those stage decks, and it was 4 stories tall. That's not crazy. To include the pyrotechnics that we had to do.
Yeah. Well, and then she had the, like, area where it was, like, the water and all of that shit.
But Macklemore was lit. I gave his music producer my number, but he never did anything with it.
Bastard.
I know, I'm pissed. But, so, to get off of the band topic, unless there's any final things you want to go off on that?
Not really.
Yeah. I want to open it up a little bit and see if you have any questions for me, real quick.
I mean, I don't know, like... Especially now, I'm like, I feel like I know you a lot.
You've learned a lot
better.
in a couple of,
like, whereas like before it's just like, oh, there's Taffy, like, in passing. I'm like, yeah, I know him. Like, he's downstairs humping the pole, like, and shaking his ass for, like, everyone who will watch.
For anyone that wants it.
Yeah. Hi. And so I'm like, my association with, like, Taffy in, like, the club scene versus out, it's like, I mean, I've given you shit already, so like, different. About it. I'm like, anytime you've come around, it was like, I don't even recognize you. You have a shirt on. Yeah. Like,
most people really don't. And, like, I get it, because I never wore a short shirt in college, but now that I've graduated and I'm done, it's just like, I have to wear a shirt to so many goddamn things. I feel like I have to get used
to this now.
Well, because also everybody knew me as the shirtless dude, so I could go to my classes shirtless. I couldn't eat shirtless because I was a food and safety risk. But, like, I am the reason they had to enact actual shirt policies in a couple of the buildings on campus. The Student Tech Center now has a shirt required policy because of me. Because I'll just fucking walk in there. I don't care. What is this going to do to anybody?
Yeah.
Like... But
if it makes you feel better, that is the exact reason why now Slim Chickens, they no longer allow facial piercings or colored hair, because so the Weddington location is their training store, so that's where they send. Yeah, so that's where they send all of, like, even out of state and now out of country. That's where they send their new managers.
Weird.
To train and all of that shit. So. Home office came in, and I had asked my boss at the time, I was like, hey, is it cool if I go get my septum pierced? He's like, fuck yeah, do it, and come here after. So
I can fucking see it.
Yeah, he did. Like, and I was like, well, if it's a big deal, like, I can flip it up or whatever. He's like, no, like, if anyone has a problem with it, I told you could do it. Well, so when I inevitably got fired later, they put in a clause now to their employee handbook that you can't have, I guess, like, any facial piercings, where whereas before it was you can have facial piercings up to a certain amount and your manager has to be okay with it.
Wait, so now I need to know, what did you do?
You would think that I did, like, so it was just
I'm just
literally...
thinking, because, like, by what you're saying, it sounds like your fucking septum piercing fell out in the chicken or something.
No, nothing. Like, I just had it, and then I had Smurf blue fucking hair.
Yeah.
And so now they do not allow...
Wait, so what'd you get fired for?
Oh, it was, like...
If you can talk
yeah,
about it.
like, it wasn't anything related to that. They said that I had too many, like, shifts missed or whatever.
Oh,
but, like,
it was just a sign-in issue?
Yeah, like, I had literally missed a shift that I had switched with somebody because I forgot that I had switched with them.
Yeah.
Because they asked me to switch, so they were like, "Oh, well, you no call, no showed." So
yeah, because corporate
okay.
loves to do that because it's a high turnover rate.
And so like it wasn't anything that was like exciting. Like I sneezed and my septum shot into somebody's chicken or something. Like,
See, that would have been a cool story. It would have been great.
No, it's entirely lame. But yeah, so I'm like, I get you with that. Like same thing. Like that's why they've put.
I am the reason there are rules on
There's
campus
like a
now.
level of power with that, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm like to an extent a little bit famous, like because I made a whole business change their employee info.
I firmly believe if you were to go in rank of the most famous people in Fayetteville,
I would
it's
not
the
be
mayor.
on there.
Well,
Like,
I'm talking about for me.
that's what I'm saying.
I'm
like,
saying
I would
number
not be
one is
on
the
that.
mayor. Number two is probably the police chief, who I know. Number three I would reckon it's either Jay Phillips or the dude who walks around with no shoes on all year, every day, all the time.
Yeah.
He's like 65. He bikes with no shoes on.
Yeah.
He'll walk his mom around with no shoes on. I've seen him out in 2-degree weather with no shoes. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
I get that I'm shirtless right now. I get that I'm shirtless in 2-degree weather,
But you're
like it's
not
fucking
standing
nothing.
in the
But you're
snow.
shoeless.
Yeah.
And 67, maybe, probably older. What the fuck?
Like at this point, he probably just has no feeling.
That dude is an
anyway.
enigma to me, and I am an enigma to so many people.
Yeah, that's like.
So if that's
impressive.
saying something. But, so I would reckon Jay Phillips or him are probably number 3. I'm number 4. Like, easy.
I was like, there's no question you would be like top 5. Just
Yeah.
because it's the same thing. I'm like, everybody, like,
I'm also
whether or
just
not they
always around.
know you, yeah, like, you're fucking everywhere. Like, it's just a thing.
Yeah. But so, back to that, was there any question you had for me based off of that, or I don't remember anything that came
Yeah,
up.
I'm like, I don't even know that I have.
You can ask me fucking literally whatever, as you know I'm an open fucking.
Oh yeah, there.
Because I like to open this up.
But
because
I think that's why I'm like, I don't really
it's
have
so
any
hard
questions
because
I'm like, we talk, like, even in the short time that we've like actually started hanging out more, I'm like, we've had so many conversations about different things. I'm like, I don't know that there's anything I even could imagine, like.
Well, if it's really going to surprise you, but I'm a Trump supporter.
Right, like.
But that's. I'm not a Trump supporter, but I'm also not a Biden supporter anymore.
Yeah,
so
I don't know that
fuck me
anyone
over.
is.
Yeah, but I mean, because like I said, I like to open it up because eventually I'll get somebody to ask me something really interesting that I haven't thought about or that I can dive in on, or even if there's just a weird topic that we want to get on, because I know a lot about really random shit, especially anything under the term sex.
Yeah.
I also know a lot of, like, really weird legality stuff. Like, there's no fucking jaywalking law in the entire state of Arkansas, so long as you're not at a 4-way stop. If you're at a 4-way stop with a, like, actual stoplight, you have to cross within the marked category. You can't cross diagonally, technically.
I did
But no
learn
cop
a
is gonna
weird
stop that.
thing that, like, today might interest you, is that apparently...
Slow us down.
Yeah, right? So in Texas, one of those weird state laws is that you can't own more than 6 dildos.
Oh, I've known about that, yeah.
And that's a thing.
That's a thing in Texas.
Yeah.
Can't own 6 dildos.
I'm like,
But you can carry your gun around.
but yeah, very few, if any, gun laws.
No, I don't think you are legally allowed to open carry a dildo in Arkansas. I don't remember. I've looked it up, and I think you're able to. I don't remember. I know you can open carry guns.
Yeah.
And you can open carry swords and knives and shit, because I do that. But you can't carry around a dick and balls. Or a fake vibrator. or your friend Ted.
Yeah,
who just
because
has
I
really
mean,
good
even
fingers.
in the pride parades and stuff, like they
now,
have a shitload of
the pride
rules
parade's a
on
whole
those.
different thing, and I want to shit on them for a second
Because
because
it's
they're
like
fucking us
literally
over.
a city thing.
Yeah.
Is so.
Well, have you read the bylaws for the pride this year?
Oh yeah.
It's fucking retarded.
We had to read. I had to read.
Women
it 'cause we're
can't
doing
have
it.
bare ass cheeks showing and no boob at all. Not even just the nipple covered. Good luck enforcing that. This is hot girl summer. This is slutty girl summer. This is gay girl
And
summer.
now it's converging with gay girl summer.
What are you gonna do about it? How are you gonna tell that many women they can't have their ass cheeks out? I get you want to make this family friendly, but if you can't teach your kid what's going on in someone else's life
that's
in
the thing
a
is
way that's
it's
appropriate
like-
to them, don't bring 'em.
People want to make Pride a
If you take away the
family-friendly
kink from Pride,
event,
it's not fucking Pride.
But it's not meant to be a family-friendly event in that,
No.
like, when you think
The
about
first
it.
Pride was a fucking riot.
Yeah, and so, like, from then, like, yeah, do, like, a lot of us bring our kids? Yeah, because this isn't something that they're not already used to. Like, all of our friends are gay. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like we're
They're totally
forcing
cool
the
with
gay
it.
down our kid's throat. It's
And
just...
from what I've seen, none of that's a problem. It's the people above making the rule that are like, oh, we don't want the kids to get upset because it's just gonna take one Karen to make the whole thing
Oh, yeah.
bad.
Well, and there's
But,
always, like,
rarely ever. And if,
Karen's out the ass
well,
when it
and,
comes
like,
to it.
I want to see a Karen show up at Pride. Try me, bitch. I mean,
Yeah.
we have those Jesus freaks that show up all the time, and we handle them pretty
And
well.
everybody makes out in front of them, and it's like, what are you gonna do about it? Nothing.
It's like, yeah, like, you're not gonna do a lot. So it's just like, the fact that they're imposing rules, and I get it this year, the only reason I'm giving them a pass on this is because it is, like, we're still in a pandemic.
Yeah.
For the most part, but, but, like, because that's why C4 is not allowed to pass anything out, and that's, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get into their whole drama because that's theirs to
Yeah.
talk about, but, like, they were told that they can't you can't pass anything out on the sidewalk, and I get it because they don't want to
Yeah, we
clean it up.
can't even. So we'll be there as a center. We can't pass out brochures even. So it's like I'm just gonna have to like get a big ass sign
Yeah.
that explains like what we are and why we're there.
And it's retarded because it's the
I'm
whole
like-
point of Pride is to get these resources out to people.
Yeah, and,
because
literally.
and I get it because we're not having a festival afterwards, so it's not like a full day.
Yeah.
But also, that should make it easier for the cleanup. That's their biggest thing is they're like, we don't want to have to spend the amount of money and time to clean up. I'm like, bitch, I've been there the next day and it's fully cleaned up.
Yeah.
Like, people
Because
help.
we're all the ones doing it anyway.
Exactly.
Like because we don't want people coming in that are there and fucking things up for a celebration
Exactly.
that's literally for us and about us.
And now, like, the only thing with it is, like, because the COVID restrictions that they want to enact, that's why they really can't pass things out, because
Yeah.
they don't want, the spread of stuff. But I'm like, there's going to be, like, a couple thousand people closely together.
Yeah.
Passing shit out's the least of my fucking worries.
Yeah, like I get it, but it does suck because it's like at that point, like there's not a way for people. Like our whole reason for being there is so that the gay community knows that we are in existence. Like,
And we're about to get
specifically for
into
there.
that, and we'll talk about that in a second. But so the thing with the Pride Parade this year is it is just the Pride Parade. There is no, as soon as that is done, technically it's over.
Yeah,
So if you really want to legal loophole this shit, you just wait. You
Yeah.
just wait till the parade's over, and as soon as that's done, you can, because people are still going to be milling about. It's Dixon Street on a Saturday
yeah,
during a gay event. Gays are going to be out there. Just hand your shit out then. If they try to fine you, that is not your problem. It is not on the parade's time because you're not having a festival.
yeah.
And it's really fucking them over because they did specifically not include whether or not it was an entity or a patron. So it is just a broad, nobody can pass things out.
Yeah, exactly. So like we as like what would typically be a vendor situation, like we can't hand out brochures and things like that. So we're going to have like what I'm trying to do right now is devise a way to rainbowify our logo, and then I'm gonna put like a shitload of different identities like around it so that people
If you
get
need
the
help with
picture.
logo stuff, I know a couple of people.
Well, I did a free trial of Adobe Illustrator, and I had it figured out, and then I screwed it up. So
I was
I'm
gonna say
have
I can
to
get you in
redo
contact
it.
with the person who made my logo. But we it's just like it's one of those things where like as soon as the parade's over, the event's over. you can pass it out all you want. You just can't go down the line while the parade's happening and pass it out.
Well, that's what I think is so weird about it.
And then who goes to a parade?
It has to be a Fayetteville thing with this, because we had the vendors and everything else at the Bentonville event, and I was passing out brochures.
People with pride and equality being bitches about it.
So I'm like, I don't know why.
I can tell you the exact name of the person being a real bitch about it, but I don't want to, because I don't want to put that beef on my podcast. But fuck it.
But no, like, it sucks because, like I said, it was like, you know, there's all these people that are resources in the area that are literally trying to make sure that the community knows, and now we can't even do that.
And like with shit like this, like C4 doesn't want to participate, they're not in it, they're a majorly important aspect of the community in Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah.
Like, if it wasn't for them, I sure as hell wouldn't be who I was today, and many other people would not have a place to go to at night if they wanted to go out.
Like, I was
because you can't take an
whenever,
18-year-old to Whiskey 101 and have a good time unless you're with a group of people.
Yeah.
Especially if they're gay, good luck getting them out of there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but like
when we were there for why is I'm losing the name right now of the club in Orlando.
Pulse.
Yeah, so when the Pulse shooting happened, I was actually at C4, and like, you saw all of us like all of a sudden sitting there and seeing it on our phones. Like, it wasn't
I remember
something
that being
I had ever
really everyone was on lookout the next weekend. They were like,
yeah. Because, I mean, so many people were concerned about, like, Pride coming up and all of that.
Yeah.
Anyway, like, a ton of us were like, I don't know if I want to go. And so it was crazy, like...
Was this also the year? No, this was way ago. Remember, like, 2 years ago or whatever, minus pandemic, because I don't include pandemic time into this anymore, because I've forgotten.
It doesn't
but, like,
exist.
2 prides ago, whenever there was the talk about the Nazis and the hate groups like, really coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, my friends were going.
Yeah, like...
I went. Mm-hmm. I had a bunch of friends that were, like, all dressed up. It was really kind of hard because they didn't differentiate themselves, so I'm like, are y'all the problem? No, that's Tom. That's Tom. He's good.
Yeah.
But, like, we had people, like, armed and ready for that day, and I was like... I mean, I'm still shirtless and dressed like a whore, but I'll fight.
Right, like,
I'm
if we got
down.
to. But yeah, like, I went, and it was crazy because they did get people threatening after Pulse, like, and so I was there for the, like, candlelight vigil and everything. Like, I walked with C4.
And I mean, they still do it every year
Mm-hmm.
around. I don't think they did it this year, but that's because it happened when there was like 7 people at the bar coming in.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, Jamie still made a post about it, but there's every year he has the big banner and then people to sign it and pay respects.
Yeah, so we all, like, when we did it then, like, we all each had one of the names of the people that had been slain by, and what ended up finding out is that one of the ones that I had, Lex actually knew. And so, because there were, like, a ton of people that she knew from it as well. And so, like, she was a huge voice talking about, like, oh, this was just a stage event. She's like, no, motherfucker, I lost family to
Try
this.
me, bitch.
Like, yeah. And so it was crazy, like, when she came up and told me that was one of the people that she actually knew. Like, I asked, I was like, do you want to switch? And she was like, well, no, because she had another name of someone that she knew. So,
yeah.
But yeah, it was crazy because it's not something that I even thought about, like, being in fucking Arkansas, that we would have people here that would have known people that were there.
Yeah, and it's also so weird because, like, I grew up in Springdale, like, and the people I grew around, I definitely wasn't as queer back then because that just wasn't.
I definitely was not, because I thought I was still straight then.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I was very much the straight theater dude who definitely was gonna become some sort of queer, but he didn't know it at the time. But like, it's like, I was also friends with the rednecks who flew Confederate flags, and I was friends with the black people who were, ascribed to gangs.
Yeah, like,
yeah, try me, bitch. Okay, Capone, fuck you. You know you. But I almost killed that dude, not gonna lie. It's the closest I've ever come to actually murdering. No, second closest I've ever come to actually murdering somebody.
I haven't gotten close, but a bitch has pushed me to a point where I was like, if she comes near me, I already told you, I was like, I've got a bat on me at all times. Like, fuck around and find out. I will let you throw the first punch, but you will not like what happens next. Like,
well, like the closest time I ever got, it was so stupid. It was very much high school drama. It was a dude who kept, like, it was during senior pranks and everybody was being just a fucking dick to me, and he was being a major dick to me during pranks, and I came up with some good ideas and they were like, no, we're not gonna have it, fuck you, get out of here. And I was like, okay, fine. So then the next day I pull up with a police baton in my car. I was gonna wait till after school and I was gonna bash his legs in and fucking whatnot. But then I ended up punching the brick wall so hard I broke my fucking pinky and chipped a cinder block wall. And that's the only thing that saved him. I got so angry that I punched the wall and I was like, and then I walked to my principal. I'm like, hey, what do I do about this? Yeah. And he was like, did you hit somebody? And I'm like, no. He's like, are you trying to hit somebody? I was like, I think so. I guess.
Maybe.
I was. And he's like, just go to the nurse and we'll figure it out in a little bit.
Oh my God.
I fractured my pinky. I've had a lot happen to this pinky. I've broken this twice.
See, like, looking at my knuckles, like, you can tell, like, I haven't ever broken a hand. I have been in fights, though.
Yeah.
Like,
it looks like I've been in fights, but I have not. This is just from longboarding and being stupid on a fucking four-wheeled board.
No, my ex, when, like, she would do the fist, it's just, like, flat. Like, she has none, because same thing. She
like...
did a lot of sketchy
Like
shit.
I've said, I'm hella pacifistic by nature.
Same.
I'm not a fighter. I will wrestle hardcore. We had this talk before the podcast.
Yeah.
But, like...
But if you attack me, all bets are fucking off.
But if you push me enough to where I'm ready to throw all that away, it's game over and I'll go to fucking prison for it.
Yeah.
Gavin knows. My brother knows. He's the closest person I've gone to fucking town on.
Like,
I almost fucking
I've
wrecked
worked in
that dude.
psych, so you can imagine, like, there's nothing that scares me.
Well, there was...
I've had people in my face, I've had people hit me, and I am not going to, like, engage, because that's literally my job, is to de-escalate those situations.
I guess the craziest thing that kind of happened, and it was not handled well, it was handled well by me, but not the people who should have been handling it well.
Yeah.
So this was junior year... No. Yeah, junior year of college, and this dude was fucking with me and got me banned from kicked out of my dorm. I had to move dorms and a whole bunch of shit, and I got pissed enough that I punched a hole straight through my my wheel base. I don't know what the fuck they call that. Gavin, what do you call it? Where the wheel sits?
The wheel well?
Yeah, I punched a hole straight through my wheel well.
How?
I have a really...
You just had that much rage, like, at one person,
well, the thing is if you push me far enough, I have the full-on blackout thing that happens. It'll just happen, and I don't remember it.
Yeah.
And, like, I do remember this because it was funny. It was really fucking stupid. I got so pissed, I punched it twice. The first time, I broke my 2 metacarpals completely through, perfect shatter.
Damn.
Like, they looked at it on the x-ray, and they're like, did you have surgery on this to break them? And I was like, no, I punched a car so hard that I just fucking immediately snapped it. My knuckles were inversely hanging down here.
Yeah.
And then I punched it again with that and didn't feel it.
Yeah. Well, it's just because that, like, fucking adrenaline, like, that's what I was saying. It was like, I am very much not a fighter, but if you put me in a position where you are trying to actively harm me, like, it's one thing if, like I said, it was like, I've worked psych, like, I know not to react
the thing
to
with
scenarios,
it, though,
but, like, outside of that, if someone were trying to, like, attack me or attack Candy, like, I'm gonna hold my own and defend myself, and they are not gonna like what the result is.
Well, then, like, still going on, because it's the same story. Like, I immediately looked at my hand, I'm like, that's fucked up.
Yeah, no shit.
So I walked to the world's smallest Walmart on campus.
I call it the Midget Mart.
Yeah, the Midget Mart. Or Small Mart for the people who want to be, progressive.
PC.
Yeah.
I'm short. I think I'm allowed to say it. Like,
you're all but one, so you can say it. But I walked in there and I was like, hey, what do I do about this? And they're like, we can give you Tylenol, but you should really go to a doctor. And I'm like, okay. It was like 4:30 and Pat Walker was about to close.
Yeah, literally. So
I walk in there and I'm like, hey, what do I do about this? Because I can't open it up past this.
Yeah.
And my knuckles were hanging down, and they're like, is that your dominant hand? And I'm like, no. Like, can you fill out some paperwork? And I'm like, yeah. Like, fill this out and we'll get you in just a second. And I'm like, cool. They're like, does it hurt? And I'm like, no. I'm like, are you okay? And I'm like,
Also
no. Well, so they get me in and they're like, yeah, we can't do anything. So they put it in a really shitty box spring because they don't know what they're doing. A boxer's spring or sprain, whatever the fuck it's called. Wrap. And they got me a thing with Washington Regional's like hand guy. I don't remember what the proper terminology for that doctor is.
Neurosurgeon, probably?
Hand doctor. I don't know.
Doctor hand.
But he got in, we took the x-rays, he's like, I've never seen something clear that bad, and he told me, he's like, it's like, I don't remember what percentage he said, but there's like a very strong percentage that your hand will not be at full functionality ever again because of the type of break that it was. And I was like,
yeah, because I mean, if you've managed to literally, like, there's so many nerves and shit in your hands, and the tendons and everything.
So then I went under for surgery, and he put it together, and it was like fine. I had like 4 pins in holding it, and I couldn't move my hand. I had to go to physical therapy for it.
Yeah.
But he told me, he was like, that's crazy. So then I had a checkup appointment 2 weeks later, and I came in, and he's like, your hand is almost perfectly fine.
Shit.
I don't know how this is possible. And I'm like, I mean, like, it's cool. And it perfectly healed, full functionality, nothing wrong with it. But, like, I can show you the pictures if you're okay with seeing those things. Some people can't handle them.
Hell yes. No, all of that shit.
I'll show you it after the podcast and show you, because you'll see how fucked up my hand was. But in between that time, between going from Pat Walker and there, I was still absolutely pissed off at the situation that happened, and like fucking spiraling. So I walked into Pat Walker, and I walked up to the CAPS lady, and I was like, hey, I want to kill myself. What do I do? And they were taken aback because I was just boldly up there about it. And I'm like, they're like, can you fill out paperwork? And I'm like, if I have to, I guess, but I kind of need to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And I just sat there filling out paperwork, and then they got me in and talked to this lady, and she did fucking nothing for me. I guess the whole thing was to like bring me down from that, and like, I mean, that would have worked, but I could have gone to fucking anybody for that. But like, I was actively like thinking of the quickest way to get on the highway and jump out of my car in front of people, and I was like, I need something better than just a nice older lady talking to me. Didn't fucking do it. Didn't care.
Well, and because like with CAPS, like they do have the like the professors like that are the license, like have their PhD, all of that shit. They're in there, but most of it is the students that are in their like master's program and shit.
And I get it. It's a great resource to have, but it's not a resource that's being used correctly. But so like, it was just a off tangent story about how I lose control. If you push me too far, and I will I have just the innate ability.
I don't think I've ever blacked out. I've
blacked out twice, but like I also, that part I didn't black out and broke my hand.
I can say I have been close, and luckily I had a shitload of people around me, but like I said, this was a very specific scenario in which I had been pushed and pushed and pushed, and I could no longer hold back. And that's what I'm saying. I was like, I am a very calm person, like, especially having worked in psych, like, none of that phases me. Like, if you get into my face and you, like, punch me, hit me, whatever, like, it's nothing, like, to me, because I'm used to that, like, being in that kind of an environment. So to succeed in actually being able to push a bitch to the point where I'm like I said, I was like, I haven't been close to blackout, but if I start shaking, that's when it's over. Like, at that point, I may not be able to control.
I'll shut down really quickly because I have fucking Asperger's, and if you, like, really get at me, I'm just like... If I the minute I go legitimately silence when you need to back the fuck up, because then it's all hands on deck. But I guess what I was trying to say is not so much I black out, but I have just a really innate ability to turn off all pain in my body. Like, I used to have this thing in high school where if I wanted to cut in line for something, I would just punch myself in the face a few times and I'm like, what the fuck? And I'd be like, thanks.
Right.
I've legitimately,
I would like that burrito now, thanks.
Yeah. Well, I've legitimately nailed a nail into a board with my forehead before, which is why I'm so good at taking punches. The several longboarding wrecks. I've broken a full guitar over my face before, like an acoustic one, not an electric, because that would.
Those are heavy.
Like a full acoustic board straight through the front, through the bridge. I broke that over my face, no problem. I have the video. I'll show you.
So do you have like actual like pain receptors?
Yeah, I'm terrified of needles. I'm terrified of medical needles.
Yeah.
But like it hurts like a bitch to get a tattoo, but I can sit through it. Like I have 8 of them.
Yeah.
And I also got all 8 of my piercings at the same fucking time, same day, within like an hour of each other.
So you just have like an innate. Like,
I can handle shock really well.
Yeah.
Because like with my longboarding wreck, the first one I happened, I was going 50 down Dixon Street or down Duncan Avenue.
Yep.
And I wiped out, slid 15 feet on my back and arms, and head first into the curb.
Just like fucking
fully bleeding
road
out.
Rash AF.
Yeah. And I sat up, some dude saw me, he's like, hey, I'm calling the ambulance. I'm like, cool, because I don't think I can. And I get up, walk over to the grass, I'm not in the middle of the road, sitting over them, like, can somebody get my board, please? And I'm just there, completely fine. The ambulance gets there, and they're like, they come up and they do all their tests, and I'm like, I mean, I don't remember exactly what year it is, but I know who I am and what's going on right now.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, are we taking you? I'm like, no, the fuck you're not. I can't afford that. So then I had my friend walk me back or take me to the hospital because I had to go get 5 staples in my head. And a tetanus shot and major
Dude, those tetanus
skin
shots
burns.
fucking hurt.
Yeah. But the funny thing is his car, so this happened on Duncan Avenue, which is like a rough mile walk to Garland parking garage, which is where his car was.
Yeah.
So I walked from Duncan Avenue, fully bleeding out through campus my sophomore year, or this was like the end of freshman year. No, this wasn't even this was the beginning of freshman year. I was like 3 months in. This is why nobody remembers this.
Yeah.
But I walked to Garland, drove me to the hospital. I walk into the ladies and I'm like, hey,
Fix.
y'all got paperwork for me to sign out? And then I call my mom and I'm like, hey mom, I'm at the hospital. She's like, what the fuck did you do? And I'm like, I'm gonna need you to come here.
I did a lot.
She's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I think so, but I need you. So she came, and it was really funny because I was fucking around with the nurses, just shitting with them, and it was so much fun. But that was a really long tangent. So back to the podcast. Hey guys.
Evening, how is it?
So now I want to jump into your work, back into that after a full fucking hour of talking. So if you guys are still listening, this is where the important part of the podcast comes in.
Yes.
I will definitely be putting something in at the beginning to let them know, because I do want them to hear about this. But just go ahead and talk a little bit about what y'all do. Give your spiel.
So, like, as far as what we do as a center, we do provide the forensic exams, or what everybody knows it as a quote, like, rape kit. We do provide those in addition to, we also have counselors on staff. And so everything that...
and again, this is the Northwest Arkansas Center for
Sexual Assault.
Sexual Assault.
Everything through us is totally free. So the counseling services,
nice.
Counseling services, the kit itself, like everything that we do is totally free. We're funded like through donations and then like through like state funding. Like
I was wondering how y'all got your money and whatnot.
Yeah, so it is a nonprofit. So just like any of the other like shelters in the area, like
so,
there's state funding specifically that.
And then I guess with that, did y'all kind of like, what's the word? Like pick up any of the people from the Planned Parenthood whenever it inevitably had to shut down? Like, did y'all get any of the resources from that or anything? Because
honestly, I don't know, because I mean, I wasn't working there at that time. I've only been here.
I was gonna say, because I know the
years.
closest thing we have to it now is Vista Health, or I think it's where I go for my STI checkups. But they have one of the doctors from there, and it's a real fucking shame that Planned Parenthood's gone. Yeah. But like, I mean, shocker, it's conservative Arkansas Bible Belt, like it was going to happen. I would
assume that like we had partnered with them in like some aspect. Like I said, I didn't work there at the time, so I don't know as far as that, like what their partnership would have been, but I would assume that we had partnered with them.
So how long has this place been a thing?
30 years.
Oh, so it's long established.
Yeah,
okay.
like and that was the crazy thing, is whenever because I was still working like in mental health at the time, and I was like to a point where like I was done with just like poor management essentially, And so that was when I started looking for other jobs, and I just saw on one of the job boards that this job existed. I was like, NWA Center for Sexual Assault? Like, all right, what's that? They're asking for specifically an LGBTQ advocate. I'm like,
hey, I'm kind of gay.
I'm a gay. Like, I could do that. Like, it was like, I thought it was like a shot in the dark kind of situation, and then like they ended up hiring me. And I was like, oh, didn't see that coming, but great. Like,
and so do they consistently do work all around Northwest Arkansas, or is it a stronger in Fayetteville priority type thing?
So we actually cater to all of NWA. Like at one point,
I would hope when people say Northwest Arkansas something or NWA something, I'm like, you better pander, but like NWA Pride is like Fayetteville only.
Definitely, we definitely have like at one point the center was located in Fayetteville, so it was over on like Green Acres over by Stigma. The tattoo shop is over there, but like back behind like
Township.
So like
so where Diva Dive is now.
So like where that road of Township like goes down, like it's one of those tiny little like cross streets. It was like back there, and so I had lived in Fayetteville my whole life and had no idea.
Did you go to high school here?
I actually ended up going to Farmington. I started out at FHS.
Like a small town Fayetteville person, you end up at Farmington and
Well, it's because my mom was a teacher, so where she taught, I had to go.
Oh, okay.
So technically, like, with that, I could have stayed in Fayetteville, but I mean, at that point, it's just easier because she's already going to the same damn place, like, instead of waking up earlier and going elsewhere. So, I actually graduated from Farmington. But like, I've lived still in Fayetteville my whole life and never knew that it existed. And so that was one of the things that they mentioned, is that outreach is so important because of that. So, like...
Where are y'all located at now, if you're able to talk about it?
So we're in Springdale.
I know Planned Parenthood tried not to put their stuff out there because they had those fucking ass hats.
Like, our center is on Sunset, and... it's in the Bright Foot Clinic building. It's all the way to the back of the parking lot, but the building itself...
Oh, so it's technically in Springdale?
It's right across the street from, like, St. Raphael's Church.
So it's near the...
It's next to the new, like, Casey's that they have.
Oh, that one,
end of, like, the end of it where it meets, like... the other street, I can't think of what that main one is.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. I try to stay out of Springdale now that I'm graduated 5 years.
Right.
No reason to go there.
I never really had reasons to go to Springdale, so I'm like, I know select areas of Springdale. Like, I know how to get to the Jones Center and shit like that, but...
Yeah. But even then, going to the Jones Center is fucking useless unless you have that one date who just really wants to go ice skating.
I can't lie, I do like to go ice skating.
I like it, but I would like to go somewhere better than the Jones Center.
I wish we had more, like...
You have the Bentonville
stuff
Square.
to do. Yeah, like, we're starting to get to a point where, like, NWA has more, like, stuff to do, but...
NWA has a shit ton of stuff to do during the summer and fall.
Yeah.
Ain't shit to do here in the winter.
Year-round, exactly. There's not a whole lot. So, like, I do like that we're getting to a point where, like... there are more things that are opening up for stuff to do. But like, as far as the center, like I said, I was like, I wasn't even aware that this, and my mom has been a school counselor now, like 20-ish years. Still
doing it?
Yeah. So she had started off working at Farmington as one of the, she was one of the pre-algebra teachers. And then a position opened up for a counselor, and all she would have to do was finish, like,
I think she needed,
like, I think she needed, like, something like 9 credits or whatever. Okay. Like, it wasn't much just because of the degrees that she already had. So then she took that position the year that she would have actually taught my graduating class.
So you lucked out.
So we both did, because like, I would not have wanted to take a class with my mother.
Mom, I'm not fucking doing 2 + 2.
Exactly, like, because that would have been just awkward as shit to be in class.
Thankfully, I've never been a teacher's kid or anything like that.
It's
but I just
weird.
can't,
it's a weird.
I bet it would be more fun for certain ones because our theater teacher's kid went to school with us, and that I would have loved if my mom was the theater teacher. I would have had so much fun.
I was privy to like select privileges
and gossip.
That like. No one. So much gossip.
You got to go to the teacher's lounge.
Always.
You wanted to skip class. You just went there. Trust me, my friends. One of my good friends in high school's mom was the special ed teacher, so she'd be like, "I'm just gonna go help them," and the teachers were like, "You should really do your homework, but okay."
Well, that was the thing. I was GT kid, so like. I was always done with my shit, so then, like, I would have other teachers that, like, wanted me to help them with, like, whatever.
See,
so,
I was always a very baseline, run-of-the-mill student, but very, very eccentric personality.
Yeah, no, I was a raging fucking nerd. Like, still am...
I mean, I was, too. I was a very big history buff. But, like, I just can't... I feel like math would be such a shit subject to have your mom ask, because it's like, hey mom, can you help me? I don't understand this.
Well, and that's what I'm like, I'm terrible at math anyway, so like for me, like I wouldn't have wanted to take like,
what are you gonna do, say Mrs. Roble?
Yeah,
like, no, it's mom.
Weird. Like yo Tina, like it would have been weird anyway, but like since like I did end up having the class with somebody else, like I was terrible at pre-algebra, we learned, which apparently, fun fact, that is very common with people who are autistic.
Yeah, I can't do math.
Didn't know that was a thing.
Don't ask me math.
Shit makes sense now, like, since I've had my diagnosis for fucking years, but yeah.
Because I also, like, along with that, like, math, I feel like would suck, but history... I feel like wouldn't be a too bad one, because like if you ever were confused, if your mom was or dad was a history teacher, like, hey, what do you think about World War II?
Like, memorization was nothing for me, like, prior to my accident.
And even then you could just, like, it'd be one of those things where you do homework and then you just hide it from your parents, and then you show up the next day and you get your parents off on a tangent because the class really likes it. You're just like, hey mom, let's talk about the invasion of 1912 or something like that.
Yeah,
and
because you know them well enough to know what they're gonna, like, inevitably.
And then your mom's just looking at you, you're like, we really need to focus on topic, but what if? Like, I already got the whole plan down, let's do it.
Yeah. No, that's the thing, is like when it comes to like other classes, like there's really like only one answer and you learn the same shit every year. So like when it comes to history, you're learning all about Columbus and the colonials and like all of that shit, right? And then you get to college and you have to relearn all of that shit.
But why it wasn't correct.
None of it that you were taught was accurate. And then it's still not correct
in college learning it, and you're like, cool, thanks.
Yeah. And so I'm like, with that, like, those were easy classes. Then you get to fucking math and you're like, oh, okay, I think I understand this. And then they're like, okay, now we're gonna do decimals and shit like that. I'm like, I understand it in terms of a pizza because that is something tangible that I can associate.
I know it in terms of a tape measure.
But like when you are just like, I'm like, if there's not a physical item for me to like, so like when it came to invisible numbers,
I never got above pre-algebra.
None of that shit.
Never did above pre-algebra. Nope. Even in college, I only ever got to college algebra in college as a senior.
I took college algebra.
And I cheated my way through the fuck out of that.
Well, it was harder at the U of A because it was like all online, and so there were times where like
it wasn't for me. I took it before pandemic.
Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
I took it. My teacher was really cool. She was also a math teacher at one of the high schools, I think, which I don't know how that worked, but
interesting.
I didn't care. She was cool.
The only way that I was able to pass college algebra was because at that point I was a DEA student or CEA student.
Yeah, CEA.
So
I should have been, but I don't like having the extra things put on me, so I never did it because I didn't like being labeled as special.
Yeah.
You know, with that, so I never did it.
Yeah, that was the only reason why I was able to pass college algebra is because I was in that class and like it's not even that they like spoon feed it to you or anything. Yeah. Like you're still doing the same coursework. It's just smaller group as opposed to 70 people in one class. So
back to the center. So what are some other like what's the word? What are some other, like, things that you provide? Like, what are some resources that y'all have available for people?
So, a lot of what we do kind of just depends on client to client.
Case to case.
So, like, let's say, like, if a client came in and their case was going to court and they wanted us to go with them, like, we can be in the courtroom. We won't be, like, at the table with them, but we can be behind with them.
Yeah, because you're not legal aid.
Exactly. Yeah. So, we can go to, like, the meetings with the prosecuting attorney and with their attorneys and all of that. We can help them report both the incident itself and if they need, like, if it was a domestic violence situation as well and they needed an order of protection, we can go with them and help them fill out the paperwork for the OP. Like, really, I'm like, it's weird when I try to explain, like, all of our services, just because it's very dependent on specifically what that client needs. Like, there's not a whole lot that, like, we absolutely can't do. One thing everybody, like, tries to, like, put us in with is, like, they assume that because of the work that we do that we're, like, specifically working with the different police departments. Yeah. But I mean, we're a nonprofit, so we're, like, a separate entity from like a police department, so we don't have any more access to things than necessarily the client does at that point. But we do have avenues as far as, like, if they have questions and things like that, we can send them to the different people that they need to go to, so that they're not going, like, all over and not getting, like, whatever it is that they need out of the system itself.
Yeah, which is really interesting because, like, my mom works for the Benton County court. Yeah. I'm not going to get too much into it because I don't know if I can say a whole lot about. I mean, it's, like, public knowledge. Yeah. But, like, she's basically she signs the warrants and stuff for people.
Gotcha.
And, like, I hear a lot of shit from her about stuff. Like, she can't tell me details about it, but she can tell me, like, what you would hear in a news article or something like that. And there's some fucked up shit going on right now, going to, at least in Benton County. But, like, it's just weird. Like I hear about it a lot, and, like, it's definitely good that we have it. It's just I don't think I've ever heard about it on campus. I've never heard about y'all's thing.
Well, because with campus, it's all related to Title IX. Yeah. So there's
which is, I'm gonna be very blunt and honest, as someone who's had to deal with it several times, it's completely horseshit and doesn't do a good job.
And so much has changed that, like, we're having to learn it. Like, we've had people that have had assaults on campus, and same thing, like, as far as, like, who comes and receives the kit, like, UAPD can actually come and take the kit and submit it to the crime lab, and that was, like, something that we weren't sure of initially, like, just because so many of the, like, Title IX laws have changed. Yeah. Like, so we're still trying to, so, like, we've been doing trainings all year since Trump, like, enacted all of this
He fucked that shit up.
Oh my god, it's so bad, and people don't realize just how bad it is, because
I mean, there was that thing that happened just recently that went pretty fucking viral outside of me, but I don't want to get into that for the podcast. Y'all know, y'all have heard about it. But there was that girl whose rapist got a $20,000 check from the U of A because of a thing that Trump enacted or something. I'm like, that's fucking ridiculous.
And so, like, one of the examples that, like, we've learned is that so with the way that the Title IX laws are, is that depending on where the fraternities specifically are located, it may not even become a Title IX case if they're not on campus. Yeah. So if
it's not the ones on main frat row, you can't really do a whole lot. So, like, I imagine, and I'm not gonna put words into your mouth. I'm not putting anything like that because I don't know the legality of it. But I'm going to say, one, I know Fiji is a major problem, but they're still on campus, so they're.
Well, and I don't even know, like, all of the, like, fraternities and shit anyway, so...
Fiji is legitimately the place that we tell incoming freshmen, hey, don't go there if you can help it. If you do, bring some friends, because otherwise you're not going to remember who you woke up next to, and you're not going to like it. I'm sorry, but don't go to Fiji. Kappa Sig.
So when you think outside of like this state alone, like when you consider like how many campuses,
grand scale,
they're not anywhere near. And so I'm not saying that.
Lambda Chi on campus got their charter revoked because they fucked some shit up in the sexual assault world. Because it's super out in public. This is like 2 or 3 years ago. But so a girl was there partying, but she was 16 or 17, partying there. And this was during pledge season. So one of the things was for the pledges to get a recording of them having sex in one of their bathrooms. And so they did that. She didn't know about it. She's also 16 or 17, so underage minor. Yeah. Intoxicated and naked. Having sex in a bathroom, which, I'm sorry, honey, like, not to, like, shit on you, but that's better places. But also, like, not to take away from her story, you know? But, outside of that, it went, so they recorded because there's a specific pledge whose job it is to, like, capture all the moments or something like that, you know? And he captures it, and then he puts it into the frat email, and it gets CC'd to all 200 people in the email. And after that, someone posted it on Old Row or something like that, one of the big Twitter pages for campus, and went viral. So, you know, they just blasted it on Twitter, and they got their entire charter revoked.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Like, I feel so bad for that girl, but, like...
Well, it's one thing to,
also, like, don't go to a fraternity if you're under 18, please. Don't go anywhere.
It's one thing to know, like...
Don't be an adult if you're not an adult.
Just in general, like... Because, I mean, I'm not going to say that, like, every single sexual assault occurs, like, related to a fraternity. Like, I'm not so naive to believe that.
I mean, it's a large chunk, but it's also not. Like there's
the vast majority do typically, like, occur, like, within dorms and things like that. And so, like, we partner with the U of A in a lot of different capacities. So, like, we don't have any problems there. It's strictly Title IX that we have problems with, not Title IX specifically the U of A, just in general, because so many of these laws change to protect fraternities and things like that. And so, like I said, I'm not attributing all sexual assault to frats and sororities, but, like...
Because it's just really annoying.
Why would you specifically try to protect those entities, like... if things aren't occurring. Exactly. And it sucks.
It's annoying because, like, it's one of those situations where they try to tout it as all high and mighty, but then when someone actually tries to do something, nothing fucking happens. And I can attest to this because I've had some false accusations thrown at me. Yeah. Outrageously. I've told you about all of them. You're aware. But, like... I went in.
When you throw alcohol into the mix, it makes things that much more complicated.
Oh yeah, especially underage.
Yeah.
But like, because the process for me was like they sent me a secure email on my thing, and like, yeah, it was secure, but it was also just like, this is so much login. Like, can you just not send it to my email? I really don't want to have to log in to say, hey, you're being investigated, we need to talk to you. And so then I would go in and talk to her. I had to schedule a meeting, and I had to talk to him. And it was just like a full hour long to be like, hey, yeah, that sounds pretty bullshit. That sounds really stupid. But, like, from what I've heard, a lot of the times it's like they just don't do anything or they can't do anything. And I'm just like, then why is it here?
Yeah, and that's kind of where we are. Like, for our job in general is, like, you know, our job is literally to work with survivors. And a lot of these laws that were put in place make that so much more difficult because it just is. And so then when you factor in, like, outside of even a university, like, when you factor in alcohol or drug use and things like that, so when these go to court, literally the job of
so fucking jumbled
is specifically to counter any of these claims, right? So, like, I constantly am telling clients, like, look, I want you to know going into this that, like, regardless if there was any drug, alcohol situation going on, like, that your attorney is specifically going to prepare you for both sides.
Yeah.
So know that, like, because even working there, that's not something I would have thought about.
Yeah.
Is that,
well, because like
the
what people
other
don't realize
people's line of questioning what they're trying to accomplish. Like, you think of it like, oh, I've gone through something traumatic and I know who did it. Like, this shouldn't be that complicated, but...
Yeah, I got punched in the face and I know who did it, and I'm still... It's a year fucking later and I'm still working on it.
Like, but the legal system itself, like, it's so complex that, like, especially when you add in, like, different substances, like... it makes it that much harder to get, and that's why so many people don't want to report.
Yeah.
Just because they already know that it's going to be this fucking crapshoot as far as trying to not only get justice, but, I mean, at that point, what does justice even look like? So it's
also,
hard.
like, after a year or 2 years, you're just like, why the fuck am I still doing this?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't speak for someone who's had that, but, like, for my situations, I'm just like... I forgot this was happening. Mm-hmm. Y'all call, like, because I got a call from FPD and they're like, hey, we're gonna go through with this. I'm like,
so
I forgot that was happening.
My case for my car accident has been going on since 2017.
It took my dad fucking 7 years to get any kind of money for his car accident.
I'm just now getting to a point where, like, we're at the end and numbers are on the table and shit like that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like... I think it honestly kind of helped me along with that perspective, because it's not something that I thought about, was like how long these cases get stretched out. And I'm like, for me, with it being a car accident, like, I don't view my accident as being nearly as traumatic as I think everyone else kind of assumes. Because, like, for me, I'm like, yes, I am alive. I can rationally, like, acknowledge that, yes, while there are, like, emotional reactions to, like, being around large vehicles and semis and things like that, that yes, it does create anxiety, and I do have those kind of flashbacks, but I'm like, in the grand scheme of things, like, putting it up against the things that, like, my clients are dealing with on the daily, you know, where they have, like, their assailant is contacting them and things like that.
Or in
like,
the courtroom with them.
Exactly. Like, I would be able to be in the courtroom with the guy that was driving the semi. For one, I don't even remember what he looked like, but two, like, it's not something that would cause that extra anxiety. It's just a dude that was doing his
because
job.
it's like with me and longboarding, like, I've had several major longboarding wrecks, and like, I'm not gonna go back down Duncan Avenue ever again, or
right.
like, I take a little bit extra precaution going down Dixon Street, but I was back on the board as soon as I could comfortably stand
like,
again.
I still have to drive to do the things that I need to do.
So I'm not gonna stop longboarding, but like, it's different for their situations.
Exactly. Like, so putting them in a courtroom with that same person.
Well, and then the other thing with that, though, that's just really fucking shitty, and a lot of people don't realize, is, like, someone on that side, like the person reporting, your name is going to get dragged through the fucking mud. The other side is going to do every fucking thing they can.
And that's literally what I'm, like, talking about with my clients, is, like, look, they're going to help you as far as... But that also means that the person that you're trusting with your case is going to have to do a full fucking 360 on you so that you are prepared. So they're going to ask you all of these really hard questions.
Because all the things you never thought you'd have to put out there are going to be put out there at that point.
Because that's what their whole job is to damage your case. So the only way to prepare you for that is to
damage
put
your
you
case
through
without
it.
damaging it.
Exactly. They're going to be in the room with you, asking the questions that they know the other side is going to be asking. They're going to put you in positions that are going to, like, make you uncomfortable so that you don't have those, like... I mean, I can't imagine, like, if somebody, like, if it were me, like, somebody is on the other side, I can't say that I would be able to remain in control of myself in that, and you just have to sit there while they're literally shitting on you, and all because what? Like, you might have had a drink. Even if you didn't have a drink, like, they will find other things to, like, try and damage your character. And I was like, that's...
Like, what were you wearing?
Yeah.
Fucking what I wanted to that night.
Yeah. I think that's, like, one of my favorite things is that we have, like, this big-ass board, and I think it was Patty that wrote on it, because she's been very open about her like story and things like that. I think it's on our like big ass board that says jeans and a t-shirt. What the fuck did you think when I was at a basketball game or something like that? And so like that's like my favorite thing about her is the fact that she is like this huge open book when it comes to things like that. But yeah, they absolutely will. Like they'll be like, oh well, you were wearing, you know, short skirt and you had your boobs out, basically, like, what did you expect would happen? Like, nothing. That should not be a scenario that anyone should, like, I could walk down the street butt-ass fucking naked if I so choose.
I have.
Like,
well, not butt-ass naked. I have walked down the street in a orange thong.
Yeah.
Fucking no reason to put your finger in my asshole unless I know you.
Like,
if I know you, we can talk about it. We can talk about it.
But, yeah,
but
like that's one of the arguments that pisses me off, and like even
I've never understood the logical or the logistics of that argument because I'm like, if that was the case, then how the fuck are people going to swimming parks? How the fuck are they going to the beach?
So
if it's just a problem, because also when you look at it and what you've seen, because I know the U of A does a thing every year where they post like this is what I was wearing thing, and I think it's not done well, but a lot of things at the U of A aren't. Fuck you if you're listening, but they're it's always like such basic clothing, and I'm like, where's the argument that this was hot or attractive?
Yeah,
like, and because one, that's not a good excuse. Two, like. Most of the times, it's like it's someone who wanted to go after it because they're wearing jeans or shorts or something you have to fucking open up.
Yeah, that takes work.
Yeah.
Like, and that's one of the other things that I always love hearing is that, you know, it's like, just like a straight guy doing this to women or whatever, but it's not. Like, it's every demographic of people. I mean,
the worst thing about it is
elderly people that are being assaulted by their caretakers and things like that.
And I'm sure you can talk about it a little bit more than I can because you know you're in it. But like, it's almost always somebody that you know over a random assailant.
Yeah. Constantly.
Most of the time.
I mean, a lot of times,
like I say, probably a good 75 to 85%.
A good portion are, I would say, strangers, like people meet on like Tinder or whatever, and bar hookups and things like that.
But I'd still count that as someone you knew.
As far as the grand like spectrum, it is typically someone that you're in like constant interaction with. And so it's crazy when you think about it. Like, people always want to, like I said, attribute it to even just a male thing, and it's like, okay, if a guy, like, because I see all of those dress code things like that, and so I always laugh when I see the one that's like, if I as a lesbian can handle functioning around a girl
right,
wearing a like spaghetti strap or whatever, then so can you.
Like, I wore a dress to high school a couple of times. I never had a guy try to put it in me.
Yeah, like,
but they were also scared of me. So
there's just this and that's what's also kind of depressing and damning, is that like, this isn't a new thing. This has been going on as long as people have been in
couldn't show your ankles and it was still happening.
Yeah, like it has no it's not in any way related to clothing. It's entirely related to a predatory nature.
Yeah.
And that just sucks, because it's like, what do we as like a world need to do to get rid of whatever it is that is driving people to do this? And like, I don't know what the answer is to that.
I know the answer, but it's not something that's ever going to happen.
I would be perfectly fine, especially like in terms of like pedophilia. Like, we
have robots for that now.
Get your ass sent to prison and you can fucking stay there, or we can just, you know, do this the easy way.
Now, with that,
you disappear from the earth.
Now, with pedophilia, yes, that shit's gross and disgusting. But like, if it's somebody who's actively done it and done something, get them the fuck out of here. Castrate them for all I care. I don't fucking care. Let them live their lives, but fucking make it to where they can't do it well. But like, if it's someone who's having like urges but hasn't done anything, go to fucking therapy for it and get a robot. We have VR now. Go fucking figure it out in therapy with a VR robot.
Yeah.
Like, it's a weird thing to do, but I'm sure there's a sex therapist who can help you get through that.
like and that's the thing is like
and there's furries, but different.
It doesn't look like when like even in terms of the psychology, like with sex therapy and things like that, it doesn't seem like there is any kind of specific person that is more apt to like have that like drive, because a lot of times like it is like just all of a sudden something that happened, right? Like it's not something that like is necessarily planned, and then there are cases where it is planned, and the obviously the person that is victimized in that way had no idea, because there's this level of manipulation to gain that particular trust, and then boom, like it's just insane to me.
Then with that, do y'all have any like connection, or like, I guess connection is the best word, like with the people who like in terms of like human trafficking and whatnot, like Hub of Hope, are y'all in connection with them at all?
We do partner with them, but since that's like their specific thing that they like, as far as a service that they provide, like they are the ones that are like the main liaison. However, if like they needed someone to perform an exam and things like that, then in that case we would help them along the way as well.
Which, by the way, for the listeners who don't know, it's Hub of Hope. I don't know if you know a little bit more about me or about it.
I mean, that's, Hub of Hope, that's what they do.
If you know somebody who's in a human trafficking or sexually exploitative relationship or something along those lines, other words that I can't think of off the top of my head, but like if you know somebody, get in contact with them and they'll do their best to help.
Because they're like, and same thing when it comes to kids, Into the Light, that's what they do. So I know Into the Light and Hub of Hope work really closely together. We're not like as close, I guess, like in terms of partnership, because that is their main focus. But
I was gonna say, if that's something y'all wanted to look into, I know one of the board members that I can get you in touch with.
Yeah, like we like all of the different nonprofits, and they are like they have meetings and stuff with each other. So that's what I was saying. It was like I know that like we definitely partner with them, and they provide us trainings, and we provide them trainings as well. So there's like give and take with that kind of stuff, and so they keep us up to date on like all of the like newest research and things like that. So it's like it's pretty interesting. And then I follow World Without Exploitation. They do trainings like all the damn time on a number of different topics related to sexual assault in like the different populations, as well as specifically their focus is the same thing. Like its main focus is on human trafficking and things like that. But because sexual violence is involved with human trafficking and like just all types of different violence as well, they have all of these different things that they do as well that they focus on. So so as far as like Hub of Hope, that's their main like focus. But same thing, like in terms of there's kind of like what we call is this like intersectionality of not only stigma but violence that's related to sexual violence. So like same thing, like you have domestic violence, so where the women's shelter may be able to help someone in one aspect, if they needed the kit done and things like that, then we could help them with that, and then we would at that point then help provide them the resources to get to women's shelter, or vice versa. They would do the same thing with us. So it just kind of depends. So we all work closely together, but each of us has our like main focus, really.
Okay. So then just to kind of finish it out on that topic, are there any other like things you want to let the listeners know that y'all offer, or just any words of advice or anything like that?
I mean, like I said, like it depends client to client, but definitely if there are resources that you need. So one of the cool things that we do is we work both with primary and secondary trauma. So primary is someone having been assaulted, whereas secondary is someone might have witnessed the assault, or
been around it,
was aware that it was happening.
So like, just to put it into perspective, like a kid who wasn't the one getting assaulted, but their sibling was.
Yeah,
That'd
or like if someone, like you were really close friends with someone and they were assaulted and they divulged that information to you, and you were struggling with it, like in terms of like, how do I help them? Like, what do I say? What do I need to do? Then same thing at that point, that's also classified as like, quote, secondary trauma. So because that trauma was in a way put onto you. So same thing, like we offer services for that as well. So whether it was a recent assault or it occurred when you were a kid, our counseling services are available, and a lot of places don't actually do that. They focus on just the primary trauma or the trauma having occurred recently, whereas like we actually so that's always something that I like to let people know. I definitely never
would have thought about that, so that's super fucking helpful. But then I can't think of anything else on the topic of the center, because I mean we've covered quite a fucking bit about it. You've done a pretty good job of explaining what y'all do, and you know, like you said, if y'all ever think there's a reason to contact them, go ahead and contact them. I don't imagine it's that hard. You'll have phones.
No, we have so we have a 24-hour hotline.
Is that specific to Northwest Arkansas Center, or is that like a nation hotline?
No, it's our specific hotline. So it gets answered initially by Voice Nation, and then Voice Nation patches the call. So we have a rotating on-call schedule. So like yesterday I was the one that was on call. So if somebody calls the hotline, it actually
during the band. Like,
it actually goes directly to our cell phone. So that number, we give them all of our numbers, and then our hotline schedule is like laid out for the month, and so Voice Nation knows who to call.
So then I guess with that, and like obviously you can't get into like super specifics, but like so if somebody does call you, do you have to like stop what you're doing and go to the center to help them, or
is
it
if they need a forensic? So the process as far as for doing a forensic is Voice Nation intercepts the call. They let us know that someone needs an exam or counseling services or information on services. They ask them before, and then they let us know so that we know what to prepare for, essentially. But at that point, then we are patched in with the client, and we kind of go through the the steps with them.
For those kits and whatnot, do you have to? I'm assuming you're not able to do it.
No, I'm not.
I'm assuming you have like an OBGYN or something along those lines that does it.
We have what's called the SANE, so that stands for Sexual Assault Nurse Examiner. So we have nurses that are specifically trained to that are under MD, so there's not actually like an MD in our building. The nurses work with specifically an MD in the area. But they actually are the ones that provide services not only for our center, but they actually work with CAC and CSC, which are the children's centers. So whenever we get a call, we talk with the client, and then we talk to the nurse so that we can make sure that they're not already doing an exam, and then in which case we would push the exam out for after that one was completed. Because they're on the same type of like rotating schedule that we are, where they'll be on call from 6A to 6P, and then somebody will be on call 6P, 6A. Whereas we are on call technically that 24 hours. It just kind of depends, but we also have a backup advocate. So like if I were to, from like a day from hell, absolute worst case scenario, which I haven't ever run into. But we have 3 exams, and then the next advocate would step in if there was a 4th one that needed to. Because typically, like, from call to exam completion is what I've learned has been about 3.5 to 4 hours. So that's
they're like pretty intensive.
So not really. I mean, just that absolute first point of contact, me contacting the nurse. We schedule out an hour after. So that means after the phone call ends, I go straight to the center to get everything set up, and then within an hour the client's there, and then so is the nurse.
So, and like, I don't want to like detract from it at all, because like, but we've seen you've seen like the movie portrayal of like what a woman's or a female person's kit or like diagnosis type situation would be, if that's making sense.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think I've ever heard of it for like a dude's standpoint. Is that something you could like walk me through with like what y'all have to do if a dude reports it?
Our exam itself, like what the exam involves is, so like when we bring the client back, so they will ask them specific questions. So the questions are not us trying to be like nosy. That's where we differ from like PD asking these questions. They're getting those for their case report. So we're asking similar, if not the same questions, related specifically so that we know where to look for DNA. So those questions might be, did the assailant put their mouth on you? Was there kissing, sucking, biting? Did they make you put your mouth on them? What kind of assault was it? In terms of, was it like penetrative or a digital oral assault? You know, like there's all of these different classifications, and so they're asking those questions specifically for the purpose of finding DNA. So like, as far as like if a man came in, those questions would be the exact same. They're just asking specifically where on the body did the assault take place.
Okay.
How did the assault take place? So that they know specifically where to take the swabs to get that like DNA evidence, essentially.
Okay. Yeah, I figured it was pretty much the same, but you never know, like, in a different like form of like doctor practice, like the thing you do for a woman's like, I'm not gonna go an OBGYN.
Yeah. Well, obviously we're not gonna put something in a male's vagina unless they're trans. Like, they don't have one.
Yeah.
Like, but
it's like, good luck getting that duckbill thing in my ass. That's not gonna work. I don't know what that's called.
The speculum. The speculum.
I have heard that before. That thing is so cool. It's so weird.
It does kind of look like a duck now that you mention that.
I had to break a lot of laws working with my the moving company I worked with for one of the moves, because we had to move a doctor's office out, and I'll tell you about this off the podcast because there was a lot. I think that, I mean, we've been going for a hot minute, and like I've loved talking about this. It's something I feel like doesn't get talked about enough openly, and I'm hoping I can get this out to people that could actually use it. And even before the Center for Sexual Assault talk, like the whole podcast before it, this was a great time. I feel like I've gotten to know you a hell of a lot better than I've known you in a minute. But just to kind of end it off, are there any final remarks you want to do? Any shameless plugs you want to do?
I mean, we've pretty much plugged everything. We've plugged Infall. We've plugged like.
Are you on Spotify?
The Center. We're on everything.
Go check them out. They're pretty good. They're pretty solid.
You name it. Where music can be purchased or listened to, we're on it.
Check out the Northwest Arkansas Center for Sexual Assault, especially if it's something that can help you. I mean, it's June. Be gay.
Go Pride. Happy Pride.
Be gay. Yeah.
Do gay. Or what is the tagline? Be gay, do crime.
Yeah. Like, I was like, be gay, do crimes, but like in terms of this
but
topic,
not this
maybe
crime?
not. Yeah, maybe not.
Let's
not do that one.
Please, for the love of God, do not do
stop
this crime.
Stop doing it, please.
And stop doing it, yes. It makes you an asshole.
But, I mean, other than that, I think that's a pretty solid place to end, if that's cool with you.
No, yeah.
Alrighty, guys. That was another episode of A Sex Talk with Taffy, and today my lovely guest, Sparrow, was in on it. I hope y'all enjoyed, and other than that, go check her out and the other important stuff that we've talked about in this fucking absolute dump truck of an episode. Thank you.